Okay, so hello, everybody. I am HP Holo. I write things, and I frequently interview other people who write things. And today I am with Marisa Wolf, author of the new release Beyond Enemies from Baen Books. So, hey, Marisa, thank you for joining me today. And I'm going to start by letting you say, well, I've already said who you are. Tell us more about you and where people can find what you write. If you got any cool cons coming up, have at it.
Yeah, all the things. Hello, thank you for having me. I am Marisa Wolf. I write things. I write science fiction and fantasy and all of the corners in between I can get my grubby little hands on. I know I love them all. I am a nerd. I am a second generation nerd. My father raised me in his nerd footsteps. So hooray us, right? So you will find me in many places, usually the internet being a nuisance. Or a menace. It depends on the day, I think, if I'm a menace or a nuisance, right? Yeah, it could be either way. I perpetuate shenanigans in a multitude of places. You can join my newsletter at www.marisawolf.net or .com, because I go both ways. You're welcome. You can find me at Mid-South Con in, I think it's Olive Branch, Mississippi at the end of March. I will also be going to Liberty Con, which is one of my favorite places in the whole world. Yes. Yes. Oh my God, we're gonna have so much fun. And then also Dragon Con.
Will happen.
Shenanigans will happen tonight. Shenanigans will happen at Liberty Con. You are welcome. So.
All right. Well, before I jump into our questions, just to kick us off, here's my usual spiel. We are running a signed book contest. So people who fill out the form in the event description can enter to win a signed copy of Beyond Enemies. So go do that. I'm also going to put it in the comments, so it's just within easily clickable distance. Also, I completely forgot my other thing. Oh, also, if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat. I think we already have a question, or we have Linda and Melissa. Oh, it's Melissa. We were just talking about you, Melissa. We need to talk about Gundam at a con at some point. That's a whole other video. All right, but welcome those who are watching. Back to. Man, I'm getting distracted. We're gonna be
great. Heather, this is all I wanted is chaotic fun. We're good.
All right. But anyway, if you have a question, leave it in the chat. We will get to it. And it's just gonna be a cool evening of hanging out and talking about books and other stuff. So, all right. Well, I am going to jump into my questions. We're going to start with a question that has nothing to do with the book, though, because this is a question I've had since it was brought up at MarsCon. And also, since whenever I interview authors, I look at their author bios and whatnot before I bring them in. And your author bio mentions that you were once headbutted by an alligator. And I have a visceral need to know this story. So this is where we're starting.
Okay, do you want the short version or the feature length version?
You can do the feature length version. We got an hour. So unless it's like a 4-hour story.
It is not. No, it happened in a very small time.
I have water and I have lots of caffeine that I can access. So
amazing. Just wave if it's going too long.
Hey.
Hi, Casey.
Night of Barsoom. We have had a request for the long story from Night of Barsoom. So we will do that.
Okay. One. I got you, Night. Okay, so the year is 2005 or 6. Unclear. Time math. We don't do that. I am Becca. Okay. I'm focusing. Here we go. Here I am teaching. It's my 3rd year of teaching. I have a new boyfriend. It's spring break. My baby brother is in 2nd grade. And my baby brother, this is the only time I will tell a present tense story. Oh, that is a lot of my face. Okay. Thanks, Heather. Yeah. Let's just stay together here. I need to see your reactions to the story to know if it's good.
You're that way.
So yeah, I love it. This is a lot of face. So in 2nd grade, my baby brother did the Flat Stanley project. And if you are not familiar, Flat Stanley is a book character. He's 2-dimensional. And so he sends himself through the mail to have adventures.
I remember Flat Stanley.
Right? So each little 2nd grader colored their own Flat Stanley. And then they sent him on adventures. And so my little brother is like, who do I know that lives somewhere exotic? My big sister is in Louisiana. So he sends it to me. And I was like, shoot, I taught middle school. I was like, what do 2nd graders like? You know what everybody likes? Alligators. So I taught in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So right down the road, there was this place called Alligator Bayou. And so I called them and I was like, hey, I just did a tour recently. You had this baby alligator. Can I come take a picture with it? And she's like, ooh, we don't really do that. And I was like, oh, okay, it's just my brother's doing Flat Stanley. She cuts me off immediately. She's like, oh my God, I love Flat Stanley. Yes, our next tour ends at this time. Just come right down. And I was like, amazing. It's spring break. I've got time. So I drive my rental car. This is somewhat somewhat connected. So new boyfriend. He is now my husband for reasons that will become very clear through the course of the story. At the time, he was a very new boyfriend. In the course of spring break, I had gotten into a car accident that was not my fault. So I was driving a rental car. We had gone hiking and I had knocked myself out on a branch and he had to catch me. So now this is the end of spring break. I go to take a picture with Flat Stanley. It's so great. I walk up to the boat. The people are getting off the boat and waving to the people. The tour guide, who's maybe 17, is like, oh, are you the girl with the picture? And I was like, yeah. He's carrying in his hands the alligator. The alligator is like, I have pictures. He's like this long. He's mostly tail, but he's like this long. And I was like, yeah, I'm the girl. And I'm holding Flat Stanley and I'm holding my little digital camera because it's the early 2000s. And he's like, cool. That is him throwing the alligator. The alligator is airborne. The alligator is remembering every evolutionary branch that led to birds. The alligator got air and he is flying towards me. And my first mistake is I catch the alligator. I do not recommend catching alligators. I can't catch. I am not athletic. I was like 24, 25 at the time. So I was like in better shape. I was cute. I was adorable. But like, I'm not athletic. I catch with my face. I caught this alligator perfectly. Throat, tail. Got it. I'm squeezing the alligator because I'm holding an alligator. And then I was like, oh no, this poor alligator. I'm choking him. Also, probably, even though this is Louisiana, probably like his mouth is taped. It's just like fishing line. It's something. They wouldn't just throw me a fully armed alligator. So
loaded.
Mistake 2, I slightly loosened my grip. The alligator is a predator. The alligator immediately senses my weakness. The alligator's like, oh, you thought. And it scratches. I had tally marks all down my arm. It scratched the shit out of my arm. So I let go more. No. The alligator rears back, slams its freaking reptile head into my non-reptile, very mammal head. And in case you're wondering, alligators are not soft. They are very not soft. He rammed his bony alligator head into my head. And I was like, holy shit, this all happens in like 0.2 seconds, but it feels like a year. And I'm holding this alligator. I immediately clamped down on the alligator again. He's like, no, okay. And so I was like, can you just take the picture? Flat Stanley is crumpled under the alligator. I didn't drop him. The man takes a picture. Then he like gets next to me and somebody, I don't even remember who else was there. Somebody else took a picture of me and the man. This is a picture I will show at some point. Ask me at a con. I will happily break this out for you.
Absolutely.
Mostly because you can see how cute I am at 23, but also because you can see the alligator. It's a full alligator. And you can see my face where I'm like, we're holding an alligator because it is just headbutted me.
Author photo. Like, absolutely. That's an author photo.
I'm like moderately concussed. Yes.
I was holding an alligator.
Yeah. Holding a fucking alligator. So I get the pictures. I shove the alligator back at the man. I like go back to my car with Flat Stanley, poor crumpled Flat Stanley. I call my then boyfriend. Keep in mind, we have been dating max like 2.5 months. He answers the phone. And I am laughing fully hysterically, fully like every meaning of the word hysterical. And he's like, what happened? I was like, I just got headbutted by an alligator. And he's like, he's from South Louisiana. He's from like the land of swamp people. And he's like, never in my life have I heard of someone being headbutted by an alligator. And I was like, oh my God, I'm laughing so hard I'm sweating. I was not sweating. I was bleeding from my eyebrow because again, alligators are not soft. And he headbutted me. It was the worst. So I'm bleeding in the car. So this story ends with my new boyfriend who has been with me for this week where I got in a car accident. I knocked myself on a branch while hiking. I've now been headbutted by an alligator. So he shows up at my house that evening with the first present he ever got me, which was a helmet. And like Are you surprised he married me? You
Is
locked that
the
down.
one he was marriage material.
That's right. That's what he knew. He's like, this is the one. This is the one for me.
Yes.
I'm going to keep her. She gets headbutted by alligators.
Yes.
Fully headbutted. So
Oh my gosh. That's
amazing. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I'm also wondering, like, it was Flat Stanley, this Flat Stanley tale that enabled this to be able to happen. And I'm just wondering, like, what other things that I normally wouldn't be able to do could I do
you
if
do
I
with
just
Flat
said, hey, I
Stanley?
have a Flat Stanley? Like, I'm really tempted to use that, to try that hack and see if it works.
Fun fact, Heather, the second she was like, oh my God, I love Flat Stanley, I immediately was like, what else can I do with this? And you know what? I got headbutted by an alligator and I stopped thinking about it. So don't, karma will come for you. Don't do it.
Whenever we're at cons together, we need to make a little Flat Stanley group and just go see what kind of shenanigans we can get into. I can feel my husband shaking his head behind the door.
He already knows. He already knows.
Playing video games, but Jacob has that head shake. And
he's not going to let us talk anymore. Yeah. June, it's on. We are traveling Chattanooga, and we are bringing Flat Stanley places. Let's
yes. I'm gonna bring my own Flat Stanley to Chattanooga.
Yes, please.
And of course, I'm probably gonna get distracted and forget. But
I know. But as of right now, deal. Yes.
Everybody who watches this video can remind me to make a Flat Stanley. There we go. All right. Well, now that we're 11 minutes in and have barely talked about a book,
that's a lot of story. You're welcome.
All right. So tonight, again, we are talking about Beyond Enemies from Baen Books. And that actually reminds me, I have a fancy little logo that I can put up here. Let's see. Did I not upload the right logo? I have the old logo.
Oh, that's still cool.
Where did it go? There it is. Okay. I thought I had the 40th anniversary logo because, but this one is still cool because it's like an explosion behind the rocket dragon. I like the new logo. It's like,
I do too. Super cute.
Super Baen.
Yeah.
Right. Going back to the chat here. Man, we have a ton of comments. I was so distracted by the story that I could keep up with the comments. We got a lot of people here. So we got Oliver's in the chat. H.Y. Gregor. Hey, I know you. Is in the chat. Let's see here. Who else? There's someone else that's new that I didn't say hi to earlier, but there's so many comments that I'm.
Oliver. Hi, Oliver.
Yeah, I'm going to miss it. But anyway, yes, Casey agrees with me that it should be your author photo. if you ever write an alligator-themed book, at least.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
HY asks, are you going to be at Fantasy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We'll do it at Fantasy.
Fantasy too.
Yes. Raleigh. I didn't say yes. I'll also be at Fantasy. I love Fantasy.
Yes, that's one of my favorite cons. I love Fantasy so much.
Cute.
Fantasy, I kind of consider it's like a little diet Liberty Con because a lot of the same cool people go, but there's also no attendance limit. So I always tell whenever I see people who want to get into Liberty Con but don't because tickets sell out in half a second, I say go to Fantasy because it's a lot of us go there too, and it's fun. Howard says hey, and Casey says Fantasy is a lot of fun as well. So yes, everybody go to Fantasy too. All right, we got off track again. Book time. All right, what is Beyond Enemies about? For those who are just coming in.
Yes, if you're coming in fresh. So I like to say it's the timeless tale of a girl and her tank. But another podcaster pointed out and reviewer, he's like, it's really about a girl and her AI. And it is. So a girl and her AI, who is sometimes a tank, they are fighting a war, and they realize that the war they thought they were fighting isn't at all the war that they are in. And they need to make a decision. Do we uphold the status quo, or do we take the chance of burning down life as we know it? And I would like to reiterate, they are a tank. So they don't go with the status quo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And okay, I have loads of questions for you. So this will be fun. So I do have to say though that I actually, for the longest time, I read the blurb for the book for the first time literally tonight because that tagline, just a girl in her tank, was literally all I needed to know.
That's it. You're getting them in.
It's like, heck yes, tank, we're doing it. And the cover is so great too. Baen always does good covers, but you landed a really excellent one. Like I've never had a desire to shave my head, but is it Talinn or Talon? Talon. All right. Yeah. She kind of makes me want to try that. But then I would show up at cons and people would be like, where's your purple?
Yeah, just bring a wig in case. It's fine. Yeah.
Yes, there we go. I'd have to have a wig for cons, but yes, I love it. I forgot what my question was yet again. That's just going to be a theme of tonight.
You read the blurb.
Yes, I read the blurb. And I like the blurb, but the tagline, just tank, was what got me. So
Talinn her
that's
tank.
one
Yeah.
one. Yes, I
Great.
just love reading about big destructive machines. They're so fun.
One of my favorite quotes, I have heard about this several times from readers. Their favorite quotes is like, what is the good of a weapon of mass destruction when there's nothing to mass destruct? And you know what? Agreed. What's the
Yeah, you
fun?
gotta have something to blow up.
Yeah.
All right. So this is actually going to be kind of a multi-part question.
Okay.
So this, and we're going to talk about short stories for a little bit,
Okay,
because the origin of this was a short story in the Chicks in Tank Tops anthology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so part one is how did excuse me, my tongue's getting all tied up.
Doing great.
How does the novel vary from the short story? Is the short story kind of a prequel, or is the novel expanded from the short story? What's the short story about? There's lots of questions. Answer whichever one you want.
I love this. The novel takes place 40 years after the short story. So step one, you don't have to read the short story to read the novel at all. If you do, you will see a specific category. Oh, yay. Thanks, Linda. Linda liked the story.
Linda said it was a fantastic short story, so go read Chicks in Tank Tops. All the stories are great, but read it from readers as well.
Yeah. Also read next question, which is where you meet Talinn and Bee, a girl in her tank. And so you meet Talinn and Bee in next question on their very first assignment. So when you first meet them, they are drunk, or she is drunk. Talinn is drunk. Bee is an AI. She doesn't get drunk. Bee is critiquing Talon's life choices, as one does. So you meet Talinn inverted and drunk, and she never really gets her feet under her again for the rest of the story. In the novel, it is 40 years later, and interesting things are happening in the universe. You will see Talinn and Bee again in several ways, with no spoilers. And it is a what comes next. So some stuff goes down in the short story, and after I wrote the short story, I couldn't stop. One, I couldn't stop hearing Talinn and Bee's voices. They are very pushy. And two, I couldn't stop thinking about what happens after that short story. And so this is what happens.
I love characters like that. Like, I have those, and they live in your head, and they don't let you go. And they're very often infuriating, but they're so persistent that novels happen.
Yeah.
And yeah,
we are.
so
Yeah.
they're infuriating because they don't go away, but then they're also oftentimes really, really easy to write. And so that's definitely there's a dog in the background. Hi. Can you pet me?
That was Olive. Hi. She's like, why aren't you petting me right now? I have this whole belly.
Later. All right. So now I was looking at your full back catalog before I did this, and you have a lot of short story work. Like it seems like most of your catalog is short stories and anthologies, and then you had some collaborations with Casey Ezel and then Chris Kennedy. And so and this is your first solo novel then?
It is my first solo, yeah.
So I'm curious about the transition you made from primarily short story to writing novels. Like how did your writing technique vary? Because short stories and novels are two very different things. I mean, if you're looking at from a reader perspective, it's like, oh, a short story is just a shorter version of lots of words, but it takes a different type of thought process to write it. So I'm curious, did you use short stories as a way to prepare yourself for eventually writing longer stuff, or was it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I started writing published fiction because of Casey Ezel, who is here in this chat right now. So Casey is amazing. I've been writing with her for well over 20 years in the world of Pern fan fiction. So we wrote fan fiction. She decided, she's like, you know what? I've been writing for a long time. I'm going to get published. And she is one of those amazing people who like puts her mind to something and just, does it. So she got published in a magazine with Neil Gaiman and BD.
Cool.
Right? Like, yes. Right? I was like, I'm 2 degrees from Neil Gaiman. That's amazing. Anyway, so she's amazing. She wrote more things because of who she is as a human. She wrote this fantastic short story for the first Four Horsemen anthology in Chris Kennedy Publishing. There's my husband. He is contractually obligated to say Pern porn anytime I talk about Pern.
Jeremy.
BT dubs, it is not porn. It's very PG-13 fade to black situation most of the time. Anyway, so Casey writes this amazing short story.
I don't judge.
I think. No, you write amazing, not fade to black fiction, and everyone should read it.
Also involving giant machines. So if that's your thing, yes. All right, giant robots.
Tanks, giant robots. Max, let's go. Rage, you wanna go there. ED Sky is your jam. You know it. We know it. We all know it. So
actually, the reason I have the porgs here is because I have one of my desk mats on my desk, and I figured there were elements
you
of
had to block it.
were probably not public appropriate, and didn't realize.
I
Well,
see.
this is actually one of the tamest ones, but I thought, you know what, that probably should not be on Baen's channel.
Oh, I mean, yeah, maybe.
That's so emergency porgs.
We should ask. It's all good. Emergency porgs. Well done. No wonder he's so cranky. So Casey writes this amazing short story, and Chris Kennedy and Mark Wandry, who are the founders of the Four Horsemen universe, were like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. You should write a novel. And Casey's like, I mean, cool. I have a lot of contract applications. I am NBD, a helicopter pilot for the US Air Force. And I am a mom. So like, I have a lot on my plate. What if I bring this friend of mine in? And they're like, I mean, I guess. So homegirl sends me her short story, which she does, right? She sends me her stuff to read early, which I'm very spoiled. You're welcome. And so I read the story, and she says, so what did you think? And I was like, oh my God, I loved it. Like, this was so cool. This part. She's like, cool. Do you want to write a novel in that world with me? And I was like, what? She's like, yeah. It was like a real one. Like, people will see it with their eyeballs. She's like, uh-huh. And I said, yes, of course. You say yes. And then I immediately panicked. So I got started in novels, but co-authored novels. And let me tell you, if you get a chance to write with Casey Ezel, do it. Check. Amazing. Such a good learning experience. So amazing. We wrote 3 together. We've written a bunch of short stories together too. But I had to write a short story as like my audition to prove to Chris and Mark that I could write. I will tell you, my real audition was the alligator story. So I think story. Thank you. The doors opened after that story. Mark and his wonderful wife, Joy, recently gave me an alligator. He sleeps next to my bed. It's amazing. Not a real alligator. They headbutt. Don't get them. But a cute little stuffed one. So anyway, so I started off with co-written novels. I wrote a short story. At first, I was so bad at pacing, I didn't realize the difference between a short story and a novel. I had the opportunity to write a short story for Michael Z. Williamson's Freehold Resistance. And I sent it in to Jamie Ibsen, who was helping Michael edit. And Jamie's like, so you wrote like the first chapter of a novel. Like, your short story ends when it gets interesting. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So
I had that exact same problem because when I was taking creative writing in college, like, we were asked to write an outline for a short story, and turned in my outline to my professor, and he was like, this is a novel. You can't do this in 5,000 words.
Yeah, it turns out. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So it took me a little while to like get my pacing together for short stories. And then I subscribed to the theory of say yes to everything, because you'll get better. Every project you have, you will get better. And anyone out there who's like, I really want to be like a published author, say yes to everything as long as you can meet the deadline.
Exactly.
And turn in a quality project, because I definitely got to a place where I was like not sleeping and trying to get everything done. And you don't want that. Your work is going to suffer.
You don't want to burn yourself out, because sometimes it takes longer than you would expect to recover from that.
Right.
Well, it's like I wrote 5 books in 1 year, which was amazing. But it also took me, like, I got very, very close to burnout at the end. Like, I didn't fully burn out, but there were chapters where I wrote where I could feel the words were not wording.
Yeah, the words don't word. Yeah.
It took me several months of just not doing anything writing related to get my brain back to where it needed to be. And even then, I still probably should have taken a little bit longer. But yeah, burnout can be a killer, and it's very easy to do it, because when you're at that sort of creative height, like whenever you get a new project or whenever you're at a con and all these fun ideas are flowing around, it's like, yes, I can accomplish all these things. I can write 5 novels in a week. Yeah, I'll do this. And then you actually get home and sit down to do it, and you're like, oh no, I'm going to die.
This is terrible. Yeah.
Oh.
I can't possibly do all this. Yeah. What was I thinking? Yeah. It's like eyes are bigger than your stomach, but.
Oh yeah. It's definitely the creative version of that. So what's your technique for writing short stories versus writing novels now, then that you've gone through that process?
Yeah. So for short stories, it's usually I start thinking about it right away as soon as I get the project, and I start writing it like a month before the deadline, regardless of how far in advance I know about it. Yeah. And I will get to a place now I'm at a place where I will start it and I'll feel okay about it. And I'll get like 2,000-3,000 words in. And I'm like, this is either going to be too long or too short. It's terrible. And then I will have this like word vomit day where I wish I had one of them near me, but it's basically like I just scribble all over a piece of paper. And all the different things I want to include. It's the worst version of an outline. I do not recommend this to anyone but my chaotic brain. And I'll like write little quotes and I'll write little things and like little character notes. And then like it's all like my brain has vomited it onto the paper and now I can work. And then I just tear through it. And then I'll usually let it sit, or I'll send it to Melissa Olthoff, who is the world's most amazing alpha reader, who can read your word vomit and be like, I see what's great in here. This is not all word vomit. And then I'll clean it up and I'll send it in. And that's how a short story goes, sometimes in 2 days, and it's done. Novels, you can't write in 2 days, no matter how inspired you are. So interesting. So for that, like to write the novel, I had to send Tony the first chapter and an outline. And my outline was like an outline in name only. And she was like, cool. I see where you're going. Part 1 makes total sense. Part 2, okay. Part 3 is like a little nebulous. And I was like, me too, girl. Like it's also nebulous. It's also nebulous in here. I don't know what's happening. And she's like, cool. Go think about that. And I was like, yep, gonna do that.
How intensely do you outline? Is it like a sentence on a bullet, or is it so it's pretty skeletal?
It's very skeletal. And sometimes like, so part 1 was like 3 sentences per bullet, right? And part 2 was like 2 sentences, and part 1 was like 3 bullets. It was like this, and this. Like I knew the shape of it and the feel of it, but I didn't know what was going to happen. So I went back and I thought it through. And then the part that really like got to me is while I was writing it, in the middle, I wandered away from the outline. Like it was skeletal, but I knew what I needed to do. And I wandered away and I felt it losing traction. This is a terrible metaphor, but go with me. I felt it losing traction. And I was like, the solution is to throw more words. More words will make it better. So this chunky beast,
that feeling.
Right? It's awful. More words does not make it better, you guys. Like 0%.
The reason why the sequel to my first novel has not been finished yet is because I kept throwing more words at it, and it ballooned to 200,000 words, and it was not half done. And it's one of those projects that I just thrown to the side until I can get it out of my brain and get it working again. And so it's don't just throw words at things to solve the problem. It
makes it so terrible, right? So like again, this is a chunky beast. She was a good 10,000 words longer. I don't know how many pages that is. Please don't ask. But like it was even longer. And so Tony got it. And she was like, so I love Talinn. I love Bee. Yes. We love them. The overall story. Yes. I need you to look at the middle. Here's what I need you to do. And I was like, I didn't even get like redlined notes. I just got the middle though. And I was like, So for that, I've realized what's going to work for me is I have this drawer full of Post-it notes. And now it's like every chapter gets its own Post-it note, and I kind of lay them out, and it's huge. It takes up the whole table. And I think about like, does this story work? Would I get bored? Where would I get bored?
I love the Post-it note method. I do something similar.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So that's very different for short stories. The short version of this answer is for short stories, eventually it's vomit on a piece of scrap paper. And for novels, it's Post-it notes that go everywhere.
One thing I found that helps me with outlines is that I'm very similar to you in that mine are very skeletal. I will have bullets underneath my sentence that basically outline the specific things that need to happen in the scene for the story to function. And it's just bare bones stuff. I don't write any character or world building details in my outline because there's a part of me that writing outlines helps me write faster, but I'm also to a certain extent a discovery writer whose characters write themselves.
Do what they want.
They're very much living entities inside my head, which would sound absolutely insane if I wasn't a writer.
But I'm with you. Yeah, that's good.
But I basically get all the story, the plot details worked out in the outline. And once my outline is done, I have a hard set rule that I do not deviate from it, which was a hard thing to do at first. But I have this rule that I cannot make any substantial changes until I have finished the first draft. Because that then helps me figure out how the changes need to happen. And the reason why is because of that old novel that got up to 200,000 words. I would change things. I would think, oh, this is a cool idea. I'm going to write this. And then I would have to change things earlier in the novel to make it work. And then I would write another bit and be like, oh, I'm going to change this. And I would have to change things all over again. So I don't actually edit at all until I finish the first draft either. And that has helped to really streamline my writing. And it was a hard thing to get used to at first because I used to be a complete pantser. But finding that sort of happy medium between plotting and pantsing has really helped out with me. We have a good comment from Casey. She's looking out for us, and she says, "Where is it, man? We've had so many comments. You guys
are so great. I love you.
Where is it? I'm having to scroll so much." Anyway, Casey said, "Where is it? Oh my gosh." I don't even know where it is anymore. Anyway, Casey said that if you're watching this and having fun, like it so that we can feed the algorithm and get more viewers. There it is. If you're watching, hit the like button for the algo. So it gets us more viewers and whatnot, which we like. And so thank you for looking out for us. All right. And let's see here. Do I need to actually breeze through this and see if we have any
That's good. I love it. Team Breezy. Breeze right through.
You guys are so great. I think we had really great interactions and comments. So, man, so many comments.
So Linda said, it sounds like my word vomit page sounds like a story web. And I love that you have legitimized my life, Linda. Yes, it is a lot like a story web. And again, I wish I had one nearby. I always throw them away once I finish the story. I always throw them away once the story's been edited. I should keep them. Yeah, because the things go together and I know how it fits. Brilliant.
And Scott just had a really good comment. He says, "Is the link for entering to win the book not here, or am I just daft?" You are not daft. I have gotten distracted with our conversation and forgotten to share it. It is, if you're on Facebook and YouTube, it is in the event description. But I am about to add it in the comments right now. I don't even know what. Okay, there's my right tab. I've got like a million tabs opened. And here we go. All right. Enter to win here. Did I spell everything correctly? Yes, hopefully. Okay, there we go. You can now, it is now in the comments. And I will post it periodically.
Nice.
So because we've got so many comments, it's going to get lost in there. But okay, it's officially in the comments now.
There you go. You're welcome.
All right. So my next question. Well, this is more of a comment. First of all, your characters are great. I'm 50 pages in and I already love them. And it's especially an accomplishment because I generally do not like AI characters. And it's partly because it's just a reader preference. Part of it is just because thinking AIs make me nervous in general. Like I'm the kind of person where whenever I talk to Siri, I say please and thank you. So she remembers that I was polite whenever the uprising happens, and it's just, I don't find AI interesting, but you make Bee interesting. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that she's not just her own, she's not a singular being. Like her and Talinn are one functional unit.
Yep.
And so my question has to do with the complexity of writing a character like that. Because it's the moments where they're separate from each other, you can feel they miss that other essential part of them. And there are also like there's one line that I really like. Where Talinn observes that expressions are different between standard humans and humans who have AI integration. And so ultimately my question is, how challenging was it to write a person with effectively another person living in their head?
So fun fact, folks who have been around me for a while might have already realized this. This is a lot influenced by the Dragon Rider bond in Anne McCaffrey's Pern, right? So it's a lot of like, these two entities are tied. They want to, Casey just said, I trained in Pern fandom, right? So like, you have a dragon in your head. That is not the same as being just like standard human. And that dragon does not want what humans want. Like, they don't have the same morals. They don't have the same needs. They're staring me again. Yeah, I mean, Casey and I are basically like brain twins. So I'm unsurprised that she knew exactly where I was going with this. But it is very influenced by that like there is something that makes you stand apart. You are different inherently. And a thing that I think trained on very well is in the Four Horsemen, writing from an alien point of view. I don't often write from the human point of view. And you really have to think about like what's going to be different. Like from the very first step, you have to think about what are their cultural references, because they're not ours. And what are those pieces, and how will that show up? Like, it's different from what's in their head from what other people are going to see. And then I would also say, to your point, Heather, like Bee and Talinn were crystal clear in my head from jump. So like, people are like, oh, maybe that was difficult. I'm like, no, because they were very clear about who they were. And I realized that. I did a short story. It's free on Baen.com. You guys can go read it. It's called Next Right Action, related to next question. Yep. But it's from a fully human point of view. So it's a human looking at the AI troops. And that was actually more challenging than writing from Talon's perspective. So.
All right, I'm going through the comments again.
Yeah, these are great.
I don't think I've missed any questions, but for those who are watching, if I have somehow missed one, just put it back in the comments, and I will hopefully notice it this time.
Yeah. No, you're great. Well, there's one from Linda about like the feed of info to insert in that brain. So that's something I had a lot of fun playing with, because there are a couple of times Talinn fully immerses herself. Like, so to Heather's point, they are two entities that are one, right? And that is by design. They are trained and built to be that, to be better at threat assessment, threat addressment, and analysis. So that but they don't have to do the same things, because otherwise you're not really upping the ability. Like, they have to do their own things and then come together to make decisions. But there are a couple of times Talinn submerses herself basically in everything that Bee is doing, and she is almost lost, because the human brain, even when genetically engineered to host an AI, it's not built to look at the world like that. And that's super fun. So much. Exactly. So that was super, super fun.
It's like, I think we're beginning, even in our normal lives these days, we have to deal with so much information and so many inputs that I think we're beginning to find the limits of the human brain, and
right
in standard real life.
Yes.
And so let's see. Okay. More comments, no more questions. All right.
These are great comments, you guys. I love them so much.
Excellent comments. You guys are great. So my next question is related to that. What guidelines did you use for writing someone who has altered or enhanced perception in general? Like, how did you determine how she thinks relative to how a standard human thinks? The thing that the part of the book that brought it up for me, I had just passed the first load-in scene, and you get that point where Marisa, or not, I was looking at your name, not Marisa, Talinn. You get the point where Tallinn's senses are completely messed up. Like, there's a sentence that says something like her mouth tasted like rotten fire and broken gravity, and that's a really great way to describe how disoriented she is. But I was wondering, like, how did you have a specific? Did you refer, say, to some of, say, Rob Hampson's bionic research, or? I'm also reading. I'm catching up on The Moon in the Desert too, so naturally bionics are in my brain right now. I'm reading. I have this nasty habit of, whenever I interview an author, I try to read as much of their book as I can in the week before their interview, and then I usually have a different interview the next week. So I have like 50 books that are half finished where I've interviewed the authors and have that, and it's and then I go back as I have time and finish the ones I've started. So I think I interviewed Rob like a year ago, and I still haven't finished his book, even though I loved it.
It's so good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is so good.
Yes. It was more the synthenasia stuff. So, like, there are people out there who their senses are so different than ours already.
Yeah.
Like they can like smell colors and hear numbers, and like it is, oh my gosh, it's just so interesting. Like, the way we perceive the world is wildly different than the person next to us, right? But synthenasia is one of those things that, like, it's very clear how different it is. And so I did some reading of people like talking about how they perceive things. I've had 100 messages. High five.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was a thing that I was able to throw in. And then really just thinking about, like, genuinely, if like like exactly like you were saying, Heather, like I feel like we're already kind of at the limit of what a human brain can take. And like I feel like sometimes after I get off X, Twitter, whatever,
Oh
like
my
I
God.
feel like I'm
Yeah.
tasting the world in a really, it does not taste
Yep.
good.
Yep.
But so
I have a
it
rule about Twitter where I stay on Twitter until I get annoyed.
Mm.
And it usually takes about 30
5
seconds.
minutes. Oh yeah, it's like 5 minutes. No, fair.
Oh, yeah. And I don't stay on it very long. Like
Mhm.
even like once I get
Yeah.
annoyed, like I cut it off because I know I'm just gonna go down a spiral of hating everything.
I know.
And they're coming before. I took the app off my phone, even though I use it for author marketing,
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
just like I have never left Twitter happier than when I got on it. And it's yeah.
Unfortunately
Whereas other
true.
social media, I'm on social media to have fun, and I kind of, even though I'm on Twitter for author purposes, I kind of view it in general as the site that people go to start fights and get fired.
And just you're not wrong, right?
Yeah. And it's just it's not a vibe that I like.
Yeah,
I get on
right.
social media to look at dumb memes, and Twitter has those too, but I find better ones in greater concentrations elsewhere.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Oh man, author marketing on social media could be its own thing. Oh my gosh.
It is its own thing.
All right, let me see how many of my questions we've gone through. Normally I check them off, but I'm so distracted by this good conversation that
We're having a good time.
Yeah, we're having a good time. This is actually a question from Jacob, and I have no idea what he means because I have not reached this point in the book.
Yep. Okay.
But he says, without getting into spoilers, what can you tell us about what the title actually means?
Okay.
Is that hard to answer without spoilers?
No, actually, it's doable. So my first draft, the one that had the too many words in the middle, when I got it back and I was reorganizing, I was reorienting, I was able to add a couple of things. And one was a conversation that I love when the title shows up in the book. I love it so much.
Too.
Oh my God, it makes me so happy. And so I was able to add a conversation that makes very clear, I think, what the title means. And so it is spoken explicitly. But it's basically like you can have friends and you can have enemies, and then you can have things that are beyond friends or enemies. And that's not necessarily good for you, but it can exist. And so I was so excited when I got to add that conversation in, because I was like, oh my God, it's the title. The title is in here. But like before that, you are the only people who know this. So you're welcome, internet. I really wanted to call the book Enemy Mine, but that already exists.
Yeah.
And I can't have it. It's too good. So I couldn't do that. So I came up with Beyond Enemies, and then, second.
Your sequel, no, that's the wrong one. Okay, wait, okay.
Oh.
Frenemies.
Yeah, totally second it.
Second your sequel title. Yes.
Frenemies is book 2. So yeah.
Oh, we got. I have to show off these comments. Enemies and Beyond, and
Buzz Lightyear.
In Buzz Lightyear's voice, and
that's so great.
The comments are coming too quickly. I keep clicking the wrong one.
You guys are so fun. I love it. I'm so distracted by how fun they're being in there. Also, hi,
man, we're down to the last 15 minutes already. This is going fast.
No, it's so good.
All right. So, I always have to ask this: author influences. Who's your favorite author? What books influenced this book?
Okay, obviously Anne McCaffrey, right? She's come up like 6 times. Obsessed forever. I also found her when I was 10, which is prime age to fall in love with something and make it your entire personality.
That's prime personality defining age.
Love her. Will always love her. I'm pretty sure she's part siren. So amazing. So for sure, when I was invited to write in Chicks and Tank Tops, I read a Bolo book, and then I read all the Bolo books because they're so good. So David Drake, David Weber, just these freaking amazing authors. I mean, David Weber, forever. Like, just, man, talk about making your. I can't say Rothman. Rothman is also a favorite author. He's pretty great. So for sure, yes. So. Man, I've read, again, I'm a second gen nerd, right? So I've been reading these books forever. But yeah, I would say the Bolo books are an influence.
Definitely, yeah.
Anne McCaffrey is 100% an influence of everything I do for the rest of time. Rothman, obviously, just when you talk about thrilling action and good characters, there's so many great people I've read. So I would say anything I've ever read has probably had an influence, either through spite or through admiration. So
I want want to know what influenced you through spite.
So not in this so much, but I wrote an entire short story out of spite. I love the all caps. How did I not know the Holo is live? That's amazing. So I wrote an entire short story of spite because I watched yet another freaking show where the good guy was like, well, I can't kill him. Like, you know, obviously that's not what good guys do.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bad guy goes out and kills like 1 million people. Yeah. I was like, man, it's fiction.
Those 1 million people.
Shoot him in the head. Like, be done. So I wrote an entire short story in 12 hours because I was so pissed. In which, like, I won't say which story so that you can, you know, read them all without spoilers. Mm-hmm. But at one point, the main character says, "It doesn't matter to me that he suffers. It matters to me that he ends." And that, you mother buckets. Like, it's fiction. We love vigilantes in fiction. Kill them. Be done with it. That's all. Rant.
Casey says, I'm definitely a spot influence. We need to get Casey on this at some point.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
There was a period where I was trying to get Casey on one of my, back when I did the Authors Just Talk About series, which I need to bring back. And then every single time she was lined up, she had to go fly.
I mean, yeah, she's very busy. But not now. She's full-time author.
I'm determined.
Yes.
You're retired now.
More Casey is the right call. Always. Always. Yeah.
So I'm curious to know about your writing process in general. Like, do you have, we were talking about writing speed and whatnot earlier. So one question I have is, are you a handwriter, a typer, or a dictator in terms of that is using of dictation software?
Yeah, I'm a typer. I've tried dictation a couple of times and I get so caught up in like how the words sound. For me, reading out loud is for editing. It's not for writing. But it's so good for editing. So good. Because when you hear the way things land, great. But I can't do that for a first draft because I'm thinking too hard about it. Yeah. And I will handwrite like my chaotic notes. So I actually just typed up a bunch of really messy chapter notes for another author. But it is, I'm a typer. I keep saying like my typing words are different than my mouth words. So don't judge me by my ability to speak.
Don't judge me by my mouth words.
Right. My finger words are much better than my mouth words. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the reason it came up was I think we were talking about writing speed and like not being able to not write a novel in a week or not being able to write 3 novels in a week. And I was just thinking of like, I deal a lot with lit RPG communities. And some of the authors in there can do 10,000 words a day. And it's usually because they dictate, and it blows my mind. Yeah. Because I'm a handwriter. Like I'll handwrite and then I'll dictate because I hate typing.
Fair.
I handwrite my stuff. I think differently when I handwrite. It's really weird.
It's not weird. That makes total sense.
But and sometimes I will attempt typing just because I have like 5 series I want to write in the next 2 years. And Jacob is actually we're both writing a series, or we're both writing 2 different series right now. And in the time it has taken me to handwrite 3/4 of one novel, he has typed 3 novels. And it's like I see that I have that comparison over in the living room every day, and it's like maybe I should start typing.
I mean, not if it doesn't work for you, though, right?
I'm beginning to ease myself into it, so it's very much it sounds weird, but the different writing types are things you have to train yourself to do.
Yes.
Like there's different thought processes and experience processes involved in each, and I think dictation is the hardest because I personally am not accustomed to speaking with the same voice I write with. I mean, they're similarly chaotic, but there's a lot more grace in my written word than there is in my mouth words. I'm mouth words a lot now. That's
you're welcome.
I love that. But yeah, did I actually ask my question? I can't remember.
Writing speed or something about writing speed. I don't know. We're doing great. I love us.
We were talking about, okay, yeah, we did. You did answer the question. It was writing versus typing versus dictation. All right. Yeah. Do you have any writing? Do you have any writing rituals where it's like I have to have these specific things set up, or can you just sit down and write wherever?
Yeah. I try to do a routine because once you get in that flow state, like it's so amazing. Like I can't write 10,000 words a day, but I have sometimes written 5 to 7K, right? And that's when the words are like going and or the deadline is pressing. But details.
Motivations.
but it feels so good. And like, I wish I could train. I'm sure there's a way to train my brain to get into it. But it's always like, I can train my brain to do something and it will last. And then my brain will rebel and it will never work again. And I have to find something new. Like my brain's like, how dare you do that thing that you did that I liked? I don't like it anymore. How dare you? I never liked it. It's all lies. So so what has really worked for me recently, Casey Azell has a Discord. I'm just going to talk about her all the time. So Casey Azell has a Discord channel. And in that Discord channel, she occasionally hosts sprints. And they are 25-minute Pomodoro sprints. And they're amazing. I will write 800 to 1,200 words in these 25-minute batches, which is not, it's not my usual pace. Let me be clear. Like, no. And some of it is like stuff in brackets to like massage later.
Put
but
action
like,
here.
Yeah, like put something like figure out what this person's name is because I don't remember, whatever. That's like 10 of the words. But it's so good because there'll be a group of us. It's like Casey, Melissa Altoff, other folks who join in. And every time I go to like click on a tab to distract myself, I'll see their faces and they're working. I'm like, oh, I should work. And I just keep going. And then like by the end, I'm like excited to go again because I'm getting into that flow state. So it's totally working right now. I don't know what's going to work in like 3 months.
Now that I know there are faces on the sprints, I kind of want to watch just for the faces because I make faces when I write. You can tell what's going on in my story by what my face is doing.
Yeah, you should watch. There are times I'll like glance at the screen and somebody's laughing, and it's usually because one of us has been like, "What is happening?" Like it's like a ridiculous. That's who we are. It's fine. That's who we are as people, and I love it.
All right, we have a question from Linda who asks, "Do you find dialogue difficult sometimes?"
I love this question. No. So I could write an entire book in dialogue if I could. I love it. Again, this is fandom influenced. Like you do just a lot of like dialogue heavy responses in fandom and fanfic. Or I did. So, and also to Heather's point earlier about characters, they are so clear and loud in my brain that their dialogue is not hard. It's more like justifying the story around the dialogue or making sure it doesn't happen in the blank white room, like making sure you know where they are and what they're doing when they're having the dialogue. I was just recently talking to Blaine Pardo about my dialogue, and he's like, he was very complimentary and lovely about it. And I was like, thank you so much, because it's my favorite part. Like I will crack myself up writing the dialogue. And so I hope that readers enjoy it as much as I have enjoyed writing it.
The entire novel flows. I say the entire novel as if I finished
50
it when
pages.
I've only read 50 pages. The 50 pages I have read flow very smoothly. And I guess I could say that was actually one of the, Jacob has finished the novel, and that was one of his highest pieces of praise for it. He said that he really likes the fluid writing style, and your word craft is just great. But his favorite part was also just Talinn and Bee as characters. Like they're really vivid and really likable. And so Jacob has praise.
Oh, thanks, Jacob. Thanks.
Yeah. All right.
That's amazing.
I think we've actually made it through all my questions. So
amazing.
I guess
we're so good at life.
Finish the last 7 minutes with either more audience questions, or we can talk about alligators more, or
let's not.
Also pulled from your author bio is that you travel via RV, like travel around. And is that still the case?
Yeah, well, it's parked out in the driveway right now. So we are currently in a house. This is not an RV. As you can see, that I can not touch the wall when I reach, which up until a month ago was not true. I would like rest my hand flat on the wall when I reached behind me. It's fine. So yeah, for 3.5 years, my husband and I lived full time in our RV and buzzed around the country. And as of about a month ago, we have moved into a house for at least the next couple of months. But our RV is right there in the driveway, just waiting for us to come back. So we'll see.
I'm curious, what are some of the most fun RV adventures you've had? Like, what are the most interesting places you've been to? Because if you're on the road all the time, I mean, there's lots to see in this country.
Yes. And I will say, so we were mostly like Texas east. So our trailer is a 40-foot fifth wheel, and we were not super comfortable taking it over the Rockies. And I know you can go like south on 10, but like there's mountain passes, there's Colorado, like there's all kinds of places you have to go through that we were both like, no. So we stayed. Yeah, we stayed with the mountains older than bones instead of the tall mountains. And I would say some of my favorite places. So South Carolina, the coastal area of South Carolina. One, you get the beach. I love the beach so much. 2, fossils. So many fossils. I have a stack. Yes, I wish I would shift the camera, but I don't trust myself. I, to my left right now, have a stack of whipped topping containers that I've kept that are full of fossils. They are shells, they are bones, they are amazing. Like, oh my God, I would get more. Jeremy, I think, had to move us into a house for room for my fossils and to keep me from collecting more. I love them so much. Heather, I will send you some. I just mailed out a bunch.
Shopping containers just makes it all the better.
It's just like the stack is like 2 feet high. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a problem. But so that was amazing. We got to live like by the beach. I was 10 minutes from the beach, and like I can't afford to live 10 minutes from the beach as a human, but in the RV, I can. Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh yeah, South Carolina has great beaches. I'm from South Carolina.
Yeah, so you are.
That was our family's thing to do over summers and whatnot. I mean, there are like RV camps all over the place.
Yeah,
around our beaches too.
So we were in James Island. It was amazing. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yeah, there's so many beaches, so many campgrounds on the beaches. So that was amazing. Also, the North Georgia. Holy crap, Northern Georgia is gorgeous. I had no idea. Like we went to Black Mountain and so that was fun. Hi David, hi people. I'm sorry. Now I'm distracted by the comments because everyone's being so great. Like, amazing.
Rothman. Let's see here.
How are you guys being so fun over here? I love you.
Would-be authors often have trouble finishing. Do you have words? Oh my gosh, my mouth words.
Mouth words are hard.
Recommendations to get words on paper.
I do, and they're all stolen. So I will pass this on. One I stole. I don't even remember who I stole these from anymore. So kudos to amazing authors out in the world sharing their stuff. One is remember that the purpose of the first draft is not to be perfect or even good. The purpose of the first draft is to exist. Yep. So you can be writing. Yeah, you can be writing and it's terrible. And that's literally what it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to be words on paper. You can edit. You can't edit a blank page. So throw those words down. I am in favor of the little square brackets because you don't use those usually. And so I'll put things in square brackets like figure this out later, or I don't know who we're going to kill. Things should explode here, but I'm not ready to decide what explodes, So like something cool happens here. And then you bracket it. And then later you can search for brackets and you can fill it in. Mm-hmm. So that's huge. Like release yourself from thinking the words have to be good. They don't. They just have to be there. The other thing for me that works is to make it a game. So like I'll tell my brain, you can write 50 words and then you can do whatever thing, or you just did whatever thing. And now you can reward yourself with 20 minutes of writing. 20 minutes of writing is nothing. It's so easy. You can totally do it. Don't sit down saying, I have to write 5,000 words today, because your brain will go, I don't know words. Like if your brain is like mine, be like, I don't even know the alphabet. So just
one of the most helpful things I've ever done for myself in terms of just getting words on paper was learning my own personal writing cadence. And granted, this took years to do, but one of the most useful things I've learned as a writer is that I tend to find a really good flow 30 minutes into my writing. And it's predictable at this point. 30 minutes in, I've got my vibes, and it doesn't matter how much I'm struggling on minute 1 to 5. It just, everything clicks eventually. And that is the thing that has gotten me to sit down some days where I'm just not feeling it and just try. And usually I know that if I don't have it by 30 minutes, that day is just not going to work, either because I'm too distracted or there's chores or there's family stuff going on. But knowing that has been tremendous. And I've gotten so many extra writing days out of it solely because I know that 99% of the time I'm going to be in the zone 30 minutes in. And 30 minutes is not a lot of time to get in the zone. And so it's, and with me, like my writing is, I find that I write best whenever I have a whole day to do it, which is not something a lot of people can do. But I will I'll sit down, get my 30 minutes and just go until my hand hurts. And that's me. But that 30-minute technique is still useful, regardless of how much time you actually have to write.
Yeah. I love that. That's great.
Let's see. I'm looking to see if we have any more
comments. These comments are amazing.
We have lots of comments and not a lot of questions.
Which is fine. They're delightful.
It is 8:59. So.
Well, thanks for not asking more questions.
So, all right, I'm going to pop the contest entry in the comments one more time. To enter to win here. I spelled everything right this time. Okay, so that's in there now. It's sprinkled throughout the comments about 3 times. So, and it's also on the again on the event description on Facebook and YouTube. It's streaming on both Baen's YouTube and Facebook and the Holo writing one. So you can find it in much places. It's also streaming on Twitter, but for whatever reason, I can't put an event description on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, just go elsewhere on to get it. But yeah, so Marisa, thank you for joining me. This has been a whole lot of fun, and I guess I'll let you. We'll end by having you say like where we can find your books, where you're going for cons, basically the opening thing. But
yeah,
again,
but we're here at the end. Yeah, here at the end. You can buy Beyond Enemies anywhere fine books are sold. It's chunky. You're welcome. I hope you enjoy it. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, Target, Amazon, all the things. Just look for it. You can find me at cons this year. So Mid-South Con in Mississippi on the like Tennessee-Mississippi line. Fantasy in April. Heather and I will both be there. Yes. Also, Melissa, most likely Melissa and Casey Izell will also be there. So many shenanigans.
Shenanigans will happen.
Shenanigans. We'll play with Fat Stanley. Flat. He could be fat. I don't know his life. Then Liberty Con in June. Dragon Con in the summer, and potentially one other con by the end of the year. Go to my website, www.marisawolf, that's my name right there, .net or .com, because I got them both, and you can sign up for my newsletter. I will send you many, many gifts. GIF, not GIFT, but GIF. But you will also get 4 short stories for free for joining, and I will send you many shenanigan-filled emails also. Shenanigans is my brand. You're welcome.
That's always shenanigans. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for joining me, and thank you everyone for watching. And we will see you. Actually, I'm doing another Q&A next week with Patrick Childs, so hopefully I will see most of you in the comments then. Yeah. So, bye.
Bye. Thank you.